To be a magnet amongst men, you don't have to be this awful person who struts into a room and wants to claim everything as his, including the women, or to prove yourself as someone of substance by showing off your flashy, souped-up trucks or cars, or being the loudest person in the room to get people to see you. Take it from a woman. It's not attractive, and it's the biggest turn-off. We live in a time of fast AI disruption, of mobile phones so powerful that spew out rubbish, and an overwhelming litany of push and pull messages to our young children. And from a young age, they're exposed and influenced by confusing messages about toxic masculinity and what it means to be a man. It is profoundly sad and tragic. Now, to bring some context to my story, I have coached and mentored thousands of young men, including the National Police Force of my country, over the past 23 years in the traditional sport of longboat racing or fautasi. I was plunged into the sport of men on the ocean, or whaangatama ilitai in my language, in 2001, when it was taboo to women. And I became the first and only woman to skipper, coach, and lead crews of 45 to 50 men on longboat races of speed, sheer guts, power, and resolute inner strength, which coalesced into our one beat on the ocean. There are many of us, but we row and we become one. Fautasi. You see, these many years of being in the trenches with men, with the crews of men, and I continue to do so, has given me a deep insight and understanding of the minds and the psyche of young men. More importantly, I'm also blessed with the wonderful gift of having birthed and raised 4 sons, my edge and advantage for a woman in an all-man sport. Now, one of the recurring questions I've gotten from my crews over the years, when we're in camp and we have open conversations and getting to know one another, Skipper, what do you find attractive about a man? And this is usually followed by giggles and embarrassed digs, but then they quiet down when they see that I'm taking the question seriously. And I'll ask them back, do you know of any man in your life, in your family, in your village, in your groups that you hang out in, or maybe a famous movie star, a writer, who is an example of the following qualities that I find attractive in a man? A man who is quiet, not shy, unassuming, yet when he walks tall and dignified. A man who doesn't say much, yet exudes a sense of inner strength about him. A man who is courteous and respectful of women. A man who may not be good looking, but is disciplined because of the way he looks after himself. And a man who is not flashy, one who is not a show-off, one who is not obnoxiously loud, and a man who thinks before he opens his mouth. And then we'll launch into this animated conversation about their ideals of what they want to be like as men. I try not to be maudlin and sad over how, in general, we have lost touch emotionally with our young men, the anxieties that they're going through, their inner struggles and confusion in simply being boys or men. On the one hand, they're told to be empathetic, to be understanding and open, And yet, on the other hand, they're told to man up. Don't be such a sissy. Why are you crying again? As if they don't have feelings or emotions, as if they're not human beings. We live in a society where to be a man is to blindly follow the rules of society or of the village, to toe the line and not speak up against those in authority, constantly pushed down, suppressed and molded into becoming little pricks by the very people who lord it over them. And in their confusion and being shut down constantly in front of people of authority, in front of their peers, in front of a whole community, either they retreat into themselves and are labeled misfits, or they resort to fights and lashing out and are called violent. And they escape to the plantations or to another home or on their phones, ripe for being influenced by other more evil things spewed up online. It's an overwhelming world, and one that worries me all the time for the sake of our children, for the sake of my young crews, yes, even for a seasoned skipper and mother like me. So my advice to our young men, look for someone who you know will understand and talk about it. Don't change to try and fit in with the more flashier friend or the flashier cousin or uncle, because usually when you scratch a little bit, you find a tin can underneath, hollow. Celebrate you. Celebrate your inner strength and your power. You see, being an attractive masculine man is not about dominance or aggression. It's about inner resolve and strength. It's about responsibility and compassion. It's about embracing who you are and becoming the best version of who you want to be. Oftentimes, I've experienced how quick our young men are at voicing their opinions about something or someone. Don't. Just take a step back and really think about what you're going to say. Ask yourself, do I know more about these people around me? Will my words trigger these people negatively and bring out their insecurities? Have a degree of self-control, because the painful mistakes we make in youth have a tendency to come back to haunt us. Train yourself to become more self-aware, meaning you know what you are, you know the things that you're capable of. So instead of lashing out with your snarky words or sometimes your fists, pull in that inner strength and control, and you can better understand how to navigate any situation in your life. What are your values and traits that are important to you as a young man? Don't let someone else dictate your essence of being a man, because when you do, you go against the inner yearnings of your heart as a man. Define it. Own it. Own your inner strength. But I have to say this, and I've got to share this. One of the first things I look at when I meet any young man or man are their nails and toenails. And no, I don't have a fetish for nails. If your nails are clipped, clean and well cared for, even if you're a plantation worker, it shows a man who values his physical health and mental health. Small things, but like they say, it's in the detail. So many people say that a vulnerable man is a weak man. When you cry in public, you'll be hissed at to stop crying. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a display of strength, because being open and honest about your emotions allows you to connect more deeply with yourself and with others. Don't be afraid to express your true feelings. Ask for help when you need it. You see, true strength lies in being vulnerable enough to be transparent, authentic, and real. As a young man, your actions have a huge impact on those around you. The young man who leaves an impression on women is the one who is kind, respectful, and empathetic. And a young man with intelligence, no, I'm not talking about your IQ. A young man with intelligence means that you have this emotional side of you that shows you the way through your failures and your mistakes. You have the ability to find out what works and what doesn't. To be a magnet amongst men, you are calm, you are quiet, and you possess a deep faith in yourself, a strong sense of inner peace and inner strength. And you know what? Everything good will show up in your life because you have this deep sense of your own self-worth as a man who attracts and becomes a magnet of everything good you wish and dream for.